Welcome back, adventurers, once again to Let's Play Chaos Head. And in the last episode, well, things played out a little differently than I was expecting. Because originally, Takumi was able to synchronize and hijack with Sua's delusion, and then use it against him, finishing him off. But things played out considerably differently because this is Route B. Takumi is lying semi-conscious, having been greatly affected by the experience of the new generation madness. Senna herself is equally broken, having been tricked into murdering her own father despite it being the one thing that she had intended to do all along. And as for Kozue Orihara, well, she was too injured to do anything. Well, she was still alive, but she wasn't in a position to move due to her injured leg. And as for Mamoru Sua himself, not only did he survive this particular encounter, but we also got a glimpse into the motivation of himself, Shino Hazuki, and the entire New Generation Madness plot in its entirety, including the fact that it was the man known as Orihara, or Inohara, sorry, getting confused with Kozue there, but it was the man called Inohara, the founder of the Church of Divine Light, or God's Light, or whatever iteration they choose to call it. One of the two conspirators, along with Genichi Narose, that had orchestrated this entire thing. Never mind the fact that probably at this point, Genichi has already quietly disposed of his would-be collaborators right from the start. At this point. Or maybe they're still alive, I don't know. Causality is no longer what it was in the previous routes, but in any event, that brings us to here. Because Sua has brought both Takumi and Kozue over here, since they were the last ones to have their code samples harvested. And of course, if we remember from the previous episodes, Narose needs Takumi's code sample in particular in order to finish the terrifying device before us, which is Noah 2. But Rimi is also here, and she's managed to restore Takumi's sanity. And she is urging him to destroy it, but that is going to be easier said than done, especially at this juncture. I think that pretty much brings us up to date. Rimi's eyes pleaded with me. A tall, intellectual-looking man had his back to me, had his back turned to me, and was watching Kozupi being tortured with a business-like look on his face, his usual demeanor. He hadn't noticed my movements. There were no other people around, not even Sua. I could do it now. The only one who could do it was me. Except, there was the unfortunate minor problem of Noah 2's safeguards. If we remember, the only one who can even approach Noah 2, let alone touch it, is Genichi himself. So it's going to take more than gigalomaniac powers to destroy Noah 2. I was scared. What if Narose caught me in the act? What if I failed? I trembled when I thought about it. Just thought it was only just occurred to me that at least we've Takumi's sanity and heart may have been completely and utterly broken, But I guess the silver lining is that he wasn't injured by the delusions of the real booted Sarah Orgles this time. So he still has his right arm, which is the only silver lining that we have in this situation. And also apologies for me laughing maniacally in the previous episode. I know I shouldn't have done that, especially since we're in dire peril, but Mamoru Sua's motivations and convictions are so utterly hilarious to me that I couldn't help but laugh, even though I shouldn't. What if Narose caught me in the act? What if I failed? I trembled when I thought about it. That is true, we're still not at the home stretch yet. There was something wrong with this game, entrusting the fate of the world to the likes of me. Then again, a year from now, the fate of the world and the fate of reality itself will be entrusted to the likes of Rentaro Okabe, aka Hoin Kiyoma. But I had to do it. I found myself able to make up my mind about it unexpectedly fast. Maybe I'd grown stronger. Just a bit. But we still have the ability to manifest our D-Sword, which is about the only thing we can do in this situation. But given how adeptly Sua was able to use Noah to himself, Genichi is a level above him in that respect. That's right, I'm strong. I'm strong. Not quite, unfortunately. I stood up, slowly. Narose still hadn't noticed. Getting bad vibes here. I'm thinking things are not playing out as they should. It's warning alarms are going off in my head. It should not be this easy. And in fact, I'm willing to bet it isn't. It was kind of a dumbass for being the last boss. Was it so much fun to watch Kozupi suffer? Genichi sentiments aside, we're still in a dangerous position. It disgusted me. I gritted my teeth. Come forth, D-Sword. Ripples appeared in the air. A blue light. I took hold of it. I felt it. Neither cold nor hot, neither hard nor soft. I drew it out of the Dirac Sea. A long, long sword settled in my hand. Well, we might slay Genichi here and now. Alternatively, we could be slashing at a delusion, which is the most likely scenario. Worst case scenario, we might be inadvertently killing one of our companions by mistake.
Nani?
Now he noticed, albeit too late. I rebooted my D-Sword. I sent particles flying into the dead spots of everyone here. It didn't require any concentration. It didn't matter how it operated. All I had to do was imagine it. There was something definitely wrong in the situation, but Takumi isn't noticing. I gripped the hilt of my D-Sword in both hands. Its glow transformed from blue to red.
心を殺されたはず。
How do you know that, Genichi? How do you know that Takumi's heart was supposed to have died? And the fact that he says that with his usual calm trademark demeanor. I think I know what's going on here. In fact, I'm pretty sure. Narose was looking at me with disbelief written on his countenance. He was recoiling. I'd won. I would beg to differ on that. I grinned, raised my sword, and had a delusion that this was a sword of light. It possessed amazing powers, like the ability to slice the air. If I released its full potential and swung it all the way, it could turn anything in the world to dust.
くらえこれが
I couldn't come up with a name for my special move right off the bat, so I gave up on shouting an attack name, like in a shonen manga, probably for the best. Also, my warning sensors are still tingling.
あ
But, Takumi doesn't seem to listen. I took the power I'd stocked up in my diesel by means of a delusion and I unleashed all of it at Noah too. Yeah, the sense of anticlimacticness is, 2 months later. Yeah, I'm getting a sense of anticlimacticness here, ladies and gentlemen. The winter sky wasn't very blue. In exchange, unlike the skies of summer, it had a cool and clear feeling to it. Morning. I opened my eyes to the sound of my alarm clock, and I looked up at the sky as I brushed my teeth. 2 months since that tumult. Seoul was still in the midst of reconstruction. As New Year's passed, Shibuya began recovering its previous bustle and gaudiness, little by little. A voice called to me. When I looked over, Rimi was coming up the stairs. It was the first time I'd seen her in a uniform since that day. Rimi smiled at me and whipped a salute.
ビシおはよう朝ごはん急いで作るね
She held a convenience store bag. Inside were white bread, eggs, and milk. Standing before the sink, she cheerfully began her preparations. Not feeling the victory fanfare in this one, I have to be honest. I know I'm probably spoiling, but either this is a delusion or it isn't. But I'm betting on my money on the former. I'm not buying it, Narose. I'm not buying this act. These past 2 months, Rimi had been practically coming to my base on a daily basis, and she cooked for me every time. Apparently she herself had never done any real cooking before, so it doubled as practice for her. Be that as it may, I'm still not buying this whole shtick. I wanted to be able to tell her not to turn me into a guinea pig, but it made me happy just to be able to eat a girl's home cooking, so in the end I just bit the bullet.
今日から学校再開だね
Sume Academy had been closed ever since the earthquake, but today it was reopening. I was going to seize this as my chance to stop my half-hikikomori lifestyle and start seriously attending school.
タクとまた学校に通えるなんて嬉しいな
I'm sure it is, Rimi said as she cracked an egg. As you might expect, it was impossible for us to tolerate the cold and heat outside smack dab in the middle of winter. Carrying inside the 2 servings worth of toast and scrambled eggs Rimi had made, we laid them on a low table. Then we sat side by side on the sofa.
じゃあいただきます
いただきます
After putting my hands together, I reached for the butter placed at the edge of the table. However, Rimi had done the same thing almost simultaneously, and our fingertips brushed atop the container of butter. What a classic love comedy development. Though I smiled wryly at it in my head, my eyes soon met Rimi's, where she sat close beside me, and my heart started pounding. Yeah, as convenient as this cliche is, that is exactly what is worrying me here and now. The signs are all here. Rimi didn't take her eyes away from me either, nor did she pull back her hand. Both of us having gone rigid, we gazed at each other with our fingers still touching. Rimi entwined her fingers with my hand. She closed her eyes softly and raised her face toward me a little. I found myself naturally holding Rimi's hand in return, and as I neared her lips,
朝から何イチャついてんの？
flustered, I sprang away from Rimi. When I looked at the door, Nanami had appeared there without my noticing, arms folded and an exasperated look on her face.
ナナちゃん、おはよう。
ナナミ、心臓に悪いことするなよ。
お兄とリミさんってほんと仲いいね。
And as we can see, Nanami's right hand is fully intact. Though I have to say, if this is a delusion, it's probably, if I'm being honest, it is actually probably the most convincing delusion of how naturally it's kind of progressing. And yet that is what is worrying me, as I've just pointed out multiple times.
ねえねえ、実際のところどこまで行ったの？どこまでって？またまたとぼけてないで教えてよ、リミさん。
Apparently Nanami had settled on Rimi as her target as opposed to Takumi, usually. Barging into the room, she dragged over my computer chair and sat in front of Rimi.
キスは当然したとして、その先は？ちょっとからかわないでよ。いいじゃん、教えて。教えない。じゃあ鬼、教えてよ、どこまで行ったか。
Yeah, as touching as the scene is, I'm still not convinced. Forget about telling or not telling, we haven't so much as kissed yet. I'm such an idiot, a dumbass. I'd had so many chances before now. At this rate, I felt like I'd probably never graduate from being a virgin. Ha. Depressed by my own uselessness, I took a gulp of milk.
リミさんがのんびりしてるなら、ナナが鬼を奪っちゃうかな。
I pulled a ginormous spit take.
鬼、切ったな。
お前。
冗談だよ。本気にされても困っちゃうってば。
Issuematic. That actually sounds like a bit of verbiage that Nanami might come up with. Try not to surprise me so much, he says. The three of us headed for school, side by side. Rimi was humming that Phantasm song again. Passing through Shoto Park, we took my usual shortcut. You could see some faint traces of the earthquake in the park, such as how part of the stone wall around the pond remained crumbled. Even so, it was far better off, compared to the wretched state of the heart of Shibuya. Okay, waiting for the gag, waiting for the whose eyes are those eyes, or waiting for Narose just to randomly appear and reveal this all to be a random delusion, waiting for the transition here.
おはようございます。
Yeah, I think they're gonna play this out. I know I should be a bit more optimistic about this adventurers, but my cynicism is telling me not entirely to believe this. But anyway, there is Yusa. Oh, Yua, sorry. I just combined both of her names together. Yua was sitting on my bench. Turning back in our direction, she put on a soft smile and lowered her head.
西条くん、昨日はとても楽しかったです。昨日？
ユアと一緒に秋葉原まで買い物に行ったんだ。
あ、わかった。お人形さんでしょう。
So we actually traveled outside of Shibuya again. If this wasn't a delusion,
フィギュアと言えよ。
or isn't a delusion, either way. Meh, but it was true we'd gone to buy figures.
新しいセイラちゃん。早速部屋に飾りました。
I would say congratulations for you buying the post-awakening Sarah Ogle display, but
私も行きたかったな。
リミってフィギュアに興味あるの？
when I asked her, she turned a bit bashful. Yeah, I would have to say that this would be the most convincing delusion yet, but
っていうか、
just waiting for that phone call, ladies and gentlemen.
タクの好きなもの、私も好きになりたいし。わあ、大胆発言。だったら今度一緒に買いに行きましょう。
Yeah, the fact how perfectly this is playing out is exactly why I am not convinced.
本当？ありがとうございます。
You and Remy are totally hit it off. You and Nanami were in different wings of the school, and so we parted at the entrance. As I switched to my indoor shoes, somebody blew into my ear from behind me. Goosebumps sprang on me with a shiver, and I leapt back as I turned around. There stood Ayase, wearing a close-lipped smile.
おはよう、タクミ。
あ、おはよう。
おはよう、あやちゃん。
That is also telling in and of itself. I don't think Ayase would ever do that to anyone, much less Takumi Nishijou.
あやちゃん。
Ayase abruptly tilted her head at what Remy had called her.
初めてよ。そんな呼び方をされたのは。
I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case.
悪くないわ。でしょ？ファンタズムのライブがあるの。あさって。
She changed the subject out of the blue. As usual, Ayase was too hard to get a handle on.
よかったら来て。
僕に言ってるの？
匠に言ってるのよ。
Indeed she is.
それと、リミも。あ、本当？絶対行くね。
Phantasm had disbanded once, but word had it that once the new year came around, they'd undergone a rapid revival. Also note that there are actually two people that we're not interacting with right now. One of them is less obvious than the other, but I will just leave it at that. I didn't want to know what kind of change of heart in her had brought it about, but I wanted to hear Ayase's songs one more time.
でも、匠は渡さないわ。
Yeah, that is That is an uncharacteristic statement for Ayase to make, even jokingly. Though I didn't know why she tacked on the butt. Ayase reached out and lightly caressed my cheek as though to put Rimi back in her place. Yeah. Methinks the delusion is trying a little too hard now. It was going well before, but there are certain personality things that, when they're out of place, you just know.
じゃあね、匠。
She smiled alluringly and climbed the stairs ahead of us. Dazed, I watched her leave without any idea of what was going on. Truer statements.
鼻の下伸びてる。
Truer statements were never spoken. And as I will repeat that now, truer statements have never been spoken. I hastily put a hand to my mouth.
冗談。
Okay, the second one may not have been true, but, yeah. It is also true. It is true that Takumi has no idea what's going on. When we arrived outside our classroom,
匠さん。
well, there's one of the two people that I was thinking of. Kozupi came charging down the hallway, smiling from ear to ear. Which actually, there are, well, now that I think about it, I should probably have said 3 people instead of 2. We're down to 2 people that we haven't interacted with yet. But she collided with a boy coming out of a classroom and landed hard on her bottom. Teary-eyed, she apologized to him, and then finally managed to come to us.
おはようさんさんなの。
And she is still speaking in her usual dialect.
怪我はない？廊下を走っちゃダメだよ、コズピー。はにゃ？
There's her trademark catchphrase. Kozupi began fidgeting, then she peered up at my face from below.
匠さんに早く教えたかったのら。
教えるって何を？
ほんとね。
Kozupi pointed in the direction she'd just come running from. When I looked more closely, Senna was standing there, leaning against the wall. Well, there is the second person, but there is still one more person that we haven't interacted with yet, and I'll give you a hint. It isn't Rimi, it isn't Ayase, it isn't Yua, it isn't Nanami. Let me try that again, just counting off the top of my head. It's not Rimi, it's not Yua, it's not Nanami, it's not Kozue, it's not Ayase, and now it is not Senna. Can you guess who it is? The one person who I'll give you another hint. The one person who we currently haven't interacted with is not a gigalomaniac. He is just a normal high school student. And that should be a big clue to you as to who I'm talking about. When I looked more closely, Senna was standing there, leaning against the wall. Her arms were folded, and she had a rather sour expression pasted on her face.
セナさん、退院したんだ。
Senna had been hospitalized throughout these past 2 months. The psychological assault that Sue had inflicted on her had kept dragging at her this whole time. That it would be true, given the circumstances. Senna raised her face and began slowly walking toward us. She was scary as ever. Although she wasn't doing anything, She bore a certain aura about her, like she might slap someone across the face any minute now. I've been going to visit Senna in the hospital twice a week, but no matter how much I tried to start a conversation with her, in the end she hadn't listened to a word I'd said. It had almost been torturously awkward. I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case either. Maybe she really, really disliked me. I didn't get along well with Senna. A sense of tension stretched tautly between us. Rather, I was just getting unilaterally terrified.
というわけで今日は学校が終わったら退院のお祝いをしようしよ
I'm not really feeling in a celebratory mood here, Kozue, because, things aren't always as they seem. Kozue when acting all excited. I kind of felt like with this atmosphere, it'd be a pretty shitty party.
う。おい、西条。
And Senna's expression has changed. I was when Senna finally opened her mouth. I cringed. I couldn't meet her eyes.
これを。
Senna held something out to me. It was a small stick with winner written on it, like the one that Takumi had won. In fact, it probably is the one that Takumi had won previously.
ああ、ガルガリ君の当たり棒なのら。
Perplexed, I accepted it. Senna soon whipped her head away, looking off to the side.
お前に言いたいことがある。
なんでしょう。
What could be indeed? Let's hear it. It must have been a figment of my imagination that Senna's cheeks somehow appeared to be blushing pink, right? Yeah, funny that sentiment.
お前のことが好きだ。
Yeah, calling it right now. Calling absolute delusion. Delusion.
Huh?
This whole scenario. Sorry if I'm spoiling anything, even though I haven't actually seen past this plot myself at the time of the recording of this episode. But I'm calling shenanigans. I'm calling delusion. Right here and now. We get it. We get it. This entire thing.
トピ
This entire thing. Her abrupt confession left not just me, but also Rimi and Kozupi staring blankly. For a second I thought she was teasing me, but Senna wasn't the type to crack that type of joke. She's also not that type to say such a thing aloud in person. Which meant, seriously? No, not seriously. I'm sorry I'm rushing through the commentary at this point, but it's like, we've had the gag.
お見舞いに来てくれて
And the music is playing. The music is playing. That's,
言わせるなこのバカが
And, the fact that Senna is behaving in a completely tsundere way is another indication that, I have bad vibes about this. And also the fact that we still haven't, encountered, I'll just come out and say it. Where is Daisuke? Where is Daijin? Where is Daisuke Misumi? Where is he throughout all this? He isn't here. And that is actually worrying me. That is why I have serious doubts about this. And even if he were here, it might still be a delusion regardless of whether or not he's actually here, which I'm pretty sure it is. She gone all dere on me, then back to Soon mode, totally of her own accord. No, but even if she said that to me all of a sudden... Okay, we've had the harem joke, ladies and gentlemen. Where is the transition back to reality? Where's the gag? A bit too late, Rimi cried out in surprise. Kozupi, still uncomprehending, had her eyes as wide as saucers. I swear, If it end credits here and then reveals itself to be a delusion after the end credits, I am going to be so pissed off, I swear. I
なんで
swear.
関畑異論があるのか
ありまくりだよ。そんなとにかくダメだって。
Remy and Kozuki were wildly confused, but the most bewildered of all was me. To think that she made such a proclamation to me. Without any idea of how to react, I looked up at the clear sky beyond the window. Somehow, right at the start of the semester is turning into quite the noisy day, huh? Again, funny that. Will this peaceful time, full of the promise of fun, continue like this every day from now on? I sure want it to continue. I wish for it from the bottom of my heart. Suddenly I looked at the reflection of my face in the window. The reflection there wasn't me. It was a wrinkly, yeah, I knew it. All color, all light went away. Yep, called it, and we're actually watching a very familiar visual novel playing out right in front of us. I was hugging my knees in a pitch black space. Before me was the sole light source in this space. Are they really going to break the fourth wall here? After all this time? It was like a monitor, like a window, like a picture frame. Inside it, Remy and Senna and Kozuki were chatting about something, looking as though they were enjoying themselves. I couldn't hear their voices. Even though this is not, yeah, what we're actually watching is not what's happening there. Oh no, it is playing out differently from what I thought, but I digress. As I watched it, my emotions lay absolutely still, or else maybe my heart was dead. Then I realized I've been watching my delusions, the 2D world into which I'd fled, a perfect delusion. Since when had it been a delusion? From the very start, I would say.
最初からですよ。
Well, as much as I have to agree with Genichi, he's right, and I'm right. I looked behind me. Narose stood there, but it was dark and all I could see were his feet. Yeah, it was too easy, too simple, too straightforward to be a victory. As a result, I fucking called
諏訪
it.
君に心を殺されたではありませんか。
Yeah, he did. Well, he toyed with it, but he didn't quite finish the job, Genichi. I've been in a delusion ever since then, the whole time.
君のコードサンプルは採取できました。もう用済みですから、いつでも塵に帰ってもらって結構です。
Oh dear. So Genichi has already succeeded in his master plan, has he?
ああ
I felt nothing. Because my heart was dead, I should have felt nothing. Yet a single tear streaked down my cheek. At the very end, I'd gone back to being a loser. I'd run away from the harshness of reality.
最後に幸せな夢を見られて。よかったですね。
When you got down to it, I'd been a worthless human being. Sorry, Remy. I apologize, but I didn't really get why I had to apologize anymore, nor did I feel any guilt. And I decided to return to the continuation of my delusion from before. someone would probably be nice enough to kill me sooner or later. Looks like the trauma wrought upon Takumi by Suwa has actually done more damage than I thought. So until then I wanted to wallow in the happiness of the world I'd fled to. Unfortunately at this point I don't think you have a choice. Or maybe you're just going to do that anyway. And rain is falling from the sky. A very bleak rain. And there is the gaze yet again. Very warm rain, you say. Very interesting sentiment there. I know I should read these out, but I'm not going to at this point. But the story's not over yet. This isn't the end, ladies and gentlemen. At least I think so. The shattered city of despair and death and nothingness. Shibuya in the wake of the third melt, like before. Is that true? Does this future end the way of darkness? Hmm. I wonder. A lovely heart, you say? Oh, so we're seeing this from Rimi's situation. From Rimi's perspective. Which is an interesting take on this. It's not your fault, Rimi. Despite everything that you did, it was never going to work out the way that you had hoped. Indeed. Much like his D-sword. It's interesting that we're looking at this from the other end of the looking glass. From the other end of the spectrum. But it seems as though Rimi is prepared to end Takumi Nishijo's existence. And yet, like before, Rimi's sentiments were actually on par with Takumi's. They were indeed more similar than the either believed, especially taking into account that the two of them are real-booted delusions given life. In the end, both Takumi and Rimi are each what the other wished for, essentially. And of course, there is that still silence. And we'll be seeing this for the final time. We've seen it before at the beginning, and we saw it twice more previously. This will be the fourth and final time.
あなたを見つめる
And we finally hear Rimi's words in the situation.
妄想殺してあげる
And as before, she intends to end his existence with her D-sword. But I have to say, Rimi Sakihata, ending Takumi Nishijo's existence will not spare him his pain. As good as your intentions were, and yet Takumi knew that this would happen. Yes, indeed.
辛いよねごめんごめんね
At least, and at last, the final pieces of all the puzzles
楽にしてあげるからね
are finally being put into place. This is what Takumi Nishijo wished for, after all. This world and its end. And yet, as before, you couldn't help that. And this, of course, is still playing out the way that we've seen before. Hmm. And thus it ends. Or maybe not. Or maybe so. The sky goes on pouring rain. It isn't blue. Not a speck of azure anywhere. And there they are, Rimi Sakihata and Takumi Nishio alone in the ruined streets of Shibuya. Even if I wished for it, I can no longer see it. Is the sky blurring because of the rain? Because of my tears? As I hold up his body, enveloped in particles of light gradually dissolving, I stretch a hand toward the sky. Somebody, tell me, where might that sky of ours have gone? And that was the Route B ending of Let's Play ChäoS Head. Not the bad ending, because unfortunately I wasn't able to get that. At least I don't think this was the bad ending, because the bad ending can only be obtained in Chapter 6. But even though we knew the truth, yeah. In this ending, Genichi Narose won and succeeded in his diabolical plan to harvest Takumi's source code, or code sample, and make Noa2 omnipotent. Though of course we actually had the true ending a while back, which I probably should have showed at the end, but well, maybe But instead of showing the true end at the end of this LP, I thought I'd do this, which is surprising. I thought this would be a bit more of an uplifting ending than it was, but yeah, I digress. Also, this was a pretty long episode, but this is going to be how this Let's Play ends. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. But the true ending, of course, is Takumi and Rimi defeating Genichi Narose, destroying Noatu, and wishing for that blue sky, and achieving it. Yeah, and this finally brings an end to this long LP. At long last. But what are your thoughts about it? And we also get the full song of Ayase, aka Fez and Phantasm, as the end credits roll. Going back to what I was saying earlier, what are your thoughts? I know it has been a long-winded LP, and I know it has gone from one extreme to another, from a cutesy anime harem to something so dark and incredibly macabre it should never be observed by human eyes. But I have to say, for the first chapter in the science adventure visual novel series as the precursor and predecessor of the more famous and well-known Steins, ChäoS has actually been a very interesting ride for me, and I'm glad to see it through to completion at long last. But now this Let's Play has finally come to an end. There are the creators, 5BP, 5 Powder Games, and Nitro Plus. And at long last, this Let's Play of mine, this Let's Play of ChäoS has finally reached its conclusion. But the tale is not over, adventurers. As I've revealed before in the past, if you've seen my updates on my upcoming Let's Play schedule, ChäoS might be over. But we will still be moving forward with the upcoming Let's Play of the thematic sequel, ChäoS Child, which will be debuting at 2 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time on the 8th of June next month. Thank you very much for supporting this series, watching it through to its inevitable conclusion. I know it took a while, took longer than I thought it would, even longer than Steins and Steins 0. But at last, we have finally reached the end of Let's Play ChäoS. What else is there to say other than the usual spiel of if you enjoyed this series and you want to see more Let's Play adventures on the channel, feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment, ring the notification bell for all updates, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and help me complete more Let's Play adventures by donating pledges to Patreon, and help make this channel truly special, and these Let's Play episodes of mine even more special, because that's why I do this, ladies and gentlemen. I want to do this for the interaction. I want to do this to make these Let's Play series as intriguing and entertaining as possible. And I know this isn't easy, especially how I normally do my Let's Play episodes. But I want to do this for the Let's Play community at large. So I think I will leave it at that for the time being. But that's it for now, adventurers. But I will return with Let's Play Chaos Child on the 8th of June, 2 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time. Until that point, my dear adventurers, I will leave you. And, as always, until next we meet, farewell.